Welcome to today's episode of Brooke hasn't fully thought out what she's going to talk about, but she knows the topic. We're going to talk about karma and how I think it's interesting that I personally cherry pick my karma. My karma. Meaning, I don't fully believe in it, but use it sometimes to reason with things. I think that I have granola and it was in my throat. I think the basis of karma is reasonable. It's a reasonable thought to be like, put out good, get good. Put out bad, get bad. This like cyclical reasoning of ways of being, you know. Yet it's not 100% accurate, cause duh, you know. Like this is where my brain goes a lot of the time. Like I was just kind of being resentful just now and being like, well, this person didn't do this for me. This person said that they would follow through with this and they didn't. Whatever, like being upset. And then I try to reason with this, which is like, let's even just say, for just example, it's an unreasonable thing. You know, somebody lied. That's not reasonable. Something like that. Then I go, well, you've done that before. Let's say, oh, to somebody else, right? Like, person A lied to me, but I lied to person B. Therefore, it's fine. Karmically. But then, and that's like a me trying to reason with something, you know? But then I think about massacre. And then I think about rape of women and people and the way that history has repeated within war and with all these things. You can't karma that. You can't put the reasoning of karma into that. So therefore, it's a flawed system. 'Cause duh, you know, like it's not something that applies all of the time. And so if it's not something that applies all the time, like religion or spirituality or things like that try to reason with bullshit, how much can you really use it then? To make yourself feel better? If you need to make yourself feel better, sure. But like, and then you get to this point of like, well, nothing can do that. Which just leads you to like psychosis. Like you just get, and it's crazy because then it's like, well, you can't reason with war. You can reason with it, but you just don't agree with the reason. So like, let's say, and that's an awful way to say it too. That's an awful way to say it because it's like, well, the people in power just wanted money, so they're reasoning. And I'm like, yes, that's the definition of the reason. Meaning like, the reason that the US is attacking so-and-so is to cripple them with their wealth so that they can get the gas. That's the reason. But it's not, but everybody else is the I'm like, you know what I mean? It's like, and then it's like with karma, the whole thought process behind karma is also a subjective thing, because duh. So it's like you're trying to reason with something that is unreasonable in an unreasonable fashion. You know, like if I got a parking ticket and I was like, well, this is karma for every time that I ran a red light. It's like, would you apply that for somebody that got shot because they ran a red light? No, because I don't believe that. There's unjust things that happen all of the fucking time. And then it's like, but then you hear the reasoning that some people try to put behind these things. Like you'll hear a story about how a 5-year-old got raped and is pregnant. And then it's like, that's God. God can do no wrong. You fucking psycho. You fucking, and it's like, I get down to this point where I'm like, I'm one person, you know? And there's people like Malcolm X, you know, who you're like, damn, that was one person, but like, what a person. You know, you get down to, what was the person that was, I think his name was Frederick Douglass? I don't know. I think, I did a whole thing on him in Race and Racism. Black Panther Party. Like, you think of these people that are like they were one person too. You know? Who, like, risk their lives for these things, or risk their lives for going against these systems, you know? And then you can't use karma in that reasoning either. You can't be like, well, their karma and their... No. Like, it doesn't make sense. And the reason that I think this is weird is because, like, I find myself trying to use karma to reason with things I don't find to be reasonable. I find myself, and I... It's one of these things where I don't know how else to. And I actually think the karma is like a protecting thing for the brain. Because, like, if I were to say, think of racism, for example, you know, and being like, well, racism is unreasonable. Because fucking duh! Like, but then you go, oh, well, what was the reasoning of that? What was the reasoning of racism? Oh, to oppress. Oh, to gain power. Oh, to gain out of fear, people are racist. You know, like those things that, like, it's not reasonable, but you see the reason, you know? But it's like, if I go to think of something like, well, I'm one person, well, this or that, and then you're like, well, karma. Karma is a safer thought than getting mad about some shit. Like, if I go to get mad about if I go to get mad about racism, because you should, if I go to get mad about, like, wow, the absolute injustice of entirely of humanity, wow, I'm mad about this person, wow, I'm mad about this happening, wow, this was so unjust, wow, police brutality, wow, ICE, wow, blah, blah, blah. If I go to get fucking pissed off and rage about that kind of stuff, you're going to want to take action during those things, because you should. Because you should take action against things that you don't believe in to be true. I actually think karma, now that I'm speaking it, is a bandage. It's not dealing with the thing. It's just like cycles. Cycles are what they are. If you give good, you'll get good. Which is not always true either. And it's like, but then there's a piece to karma, which is do good for the world, that is what's used as the reasoning basis, but then that reasoning basis doesn't apply to if you give bad, you get bad. Because there's some, like, duh, you know, racism is not built off of that. It's not like black people are awful, so then they deserve that. That's not true. So, like, the cyclical reasoning of karma does not make sense. It does not. But the positive side of it does. The negative side of it doesn't. Like, it doesn't. Those two things don't coincide. But, like, I think it's used... I think the positive side is used to... Not the word dismiss. What's the word that therapy uses? Not neglect. I guess neglect. I guess dismiss. Kind of those words. It's like this whole be good, get good is used to reason with why you get bad things. But then this is a good idea in the fact that, like, if you do well for people, you might get well back. But then that's also transactional, which is not necessarily true either. It doesn't make sense. But then I have been taught to wish that. Because you wish it. You wish, like, you know, treat others the way you want to be treated. You wish, like, if I do good things for people, then I could receive good back. Because that's the goal. That's the idea. But that idea doesn't translate. And then it just leads to disappointment. Or it leads to, like, it's just not true. But, like, the good part wishes that it was true. But then the bad part, it doesn't make sense at all. And then that gets covered up. Like, it gets made out to be like it was earned or deserved, or the negative was owed, as if the good was owed. Like, it doesn't. But then why do I do it? Because I wish for the good thing, and then the bad thing happens, and then I go to cover it up and reason with it. Karma's not true.